for BRM developer or probably BRM architect, and also for the BRM testing team, and also for the BRM operation. So we'll cover something like course overview. That's anyhow we are discussing now, and then we'll be having something like BRM architecture, and then we'll also see how we are going to configure BRM for any of the like implementation, um, or for different geographies. What are the configuration needed? And then we'll also see about BRM object model. So anyhow, we'll see more detail about all these topics. And then we'll also see regarding the BRM has some inbuilt APIs, which is called like macros. So it's like small programs which are written in C language to do some of the operations. So like we can say kind of these are kind of a function or APIs which can be used for doing a specific task basically. So so in that also we have something like pin macros and PCM macros. So we'll see what is the meaning of pin and what is the meaning of PCM macros. So these are like different set of APIs or functions which we have in BRM, and then we'll also see error handling and debugging in BRM. So if you're writing any program, right? So how we are going to do error handling, what kind of error handlings options are available in BRM. So we'll see all those things, and we'll also see how to debug BRM. So you have written some program, you're trying to run it on BRM, right? So uh, if there is any issue, how we are going to debug it, and what will be our approach, and similarly what are the different log levels we have, right? So those we'll see in error handling and debugging. Okay, then we'll also see extending event creation. So so BRM is like kind of a package application. So most of the like service provider are the users, right, who want to use BRM. So they'll be getting set of predefined functionalities, which is like very generic for like most of the telcos or any financial institution who want to use the BRM for their billing system. So, but on top of that, if there is any specific requirement, right, to extend the data model or extend the events, so that is how we can extend also. Extend means like there is a class. If you want to extend that class, if you want to kind of capture more detailed information about some object, right? So there is an option to extend the class and again the object, and then we'll be having a extended object. So that will be reference with their base object. So they, all these options are there in BRM. So it's a kind of customizing things. And then we'll also see if you want to customize the registration process. So suppose you are trying to like registered some customer, right, in your system through any of the CRM system. So if you want to customize that registration, right? So like you want to capture some of the specific fields, very specific to the particular telcos, right? Or if you want to modify the registration process itself. So that customization also possible in BRM, and there is a way to do that. Okay, so that we'll see. And so in BRM we have something like facility module. So any like here we have seen, right, the PCM macros. So similarly we can also create our own facility module. It's a kind of standalone API which can work along with BRM. So we can write some your own function or your own logic in a program, and then we can attach with the BRM. So that also we can do that. So that is what the custom facility module is. Okay, and opcodes are like it's a kind of function, or what will say the class in Java. So that also we'll see how to write a opcode. Okay, so opcode is nothing but a like a function in C programming, or class in Java. Okay, so creating custom data manager. So this is like something like very advanced. So probably we'll not covering this, but we'll see how to do that on high level, because this I don't think it will be like scope of this training, but we'll see on high level how to create a custom data manager. Okay, and then we'll see. So once we have kind of if you see from the CRM perspective, right? So once we have any subscribers who approaches to the service provider, and so initially he will be looking for a quotes, right? So if you want to use a particular so and so services, what will be like approximate or charges? So that we can get from the quotes with the CRM system. Again, that will come to the BRM to get the prices and all. And then once he is happy with the quote, so that quote will be like what will say realize as a like a customer order, and then order will like will onboard the customer. Then based on like whatever the plan the customer has selected, right? So we'll try to provision that plan in the all like OSS system, and also in the BSS system, including like our BRM and even the downstream systems like credit control and all. So once all these things are done, right, customer is onboarded. So there'll be a like billing. So there are different type of billing. Like we have something like we have um, bill on demand, we have bill now, and then we have regular billing. So we'll see all this like what are the different options of billing we have, and what are the different components of customer use case we can cover with the billing, right? So there are three type of billing, right? So on demand billing, there is a bill now, so immediate bill also we call, and there is a regular billing which will happen on the billing cycle day, right? So whenever we subscribe, whenever we onboard some customer into the system, right? So we'll also configure that based on logic in BRM, right? So what is the billing cycle we are going to assign to the customer? It's on the same day, or you want to make the billing cycle always on first, or we want to make on seventh, or any date. So that those customizations are also possible in BRM. So we'll see about all those things in the billing processes. Okay. Then we'll also see about the bill cycle management. We'll see about the trial billing. So trial billing is like kind of bill will generate mainly in the production like system, or even in production, to see bills for some of the customer, so that we can validate the bill, like how the charges will get generated. And again we can so this is what this is not actual billing, trial billing, but this is kind of to check if our billing system is working properly, it is generating all the MRC or NRC charges in proper way. So, and we'll also see billing options and processes. So billing option, like what are the different billing options? So in BRM, right, there are for billing itself, there are multiple sub processes which will work. So we'll see what are the sub processes which work as part of billing, right? So before actually billing the customers, we have to finalize some of the things, right? So if there are some deferred action in the sense like you want to there is already scheduled process which is there in the database, data is there in the database, yeah, and you want to execute that before the bill run. So all those things we can configure as part of the billing processes. So there are some 6 to 7 processes which will run as part of the billing. So we'll see about each and every process of that billing basically. Okay, so this is the high level topics we are going to cover, and in between we'll also see if we can cover some of the topics which is like requested by you guys. So that also we'll try to cover, because this is like kind of 4 days training, and we'll be having enough time to bit of customize this session. But yeah, this is a high level we are going to cover. Okay, so this is purely like BRM technical training, so we'll cover little bit more in depth of technical things. Okay, so to just yeah, so I have some agenda also, like how we are going to cover it. Okay, so this is like kind of prerequisite for this course. It's not like very much mandatory, because different people start at the different level, right? And some will be from testing, some will be just want to know about the system. So it's not that they should know everything, but this is a kind of for a developer, if he knows this, it will be easy for him to uh, gain more out of this training. Okay, so he should have some knowledge of any of the programming language, C, C++, or Java. So that will help him to understand some of the technical terminologies. And of course, database knowledge is needed, because BRM is a kind of it has big, very huge database which contain like billing information and customer information. It's also contain the credit information, so and invoicing details. So we should know about the database also. And again, we should also know, because most of the programming is done on the server itself. So we should also know like some of the any of the Unix editor, so BI or um, any editor like which we can use for changing the configuration or writing some program. So we should know about that. Okay, so uh,
By the way, Naveen, sorry to
uh,
interrupt.
yeah.
So for this training, which BRM version that you are going to actually to use for this?
So BRM will be same. There will be little changes for a different version, but whatever the lab I have, right, that is BRM 12.
BRM 12.
Not BRM.
Okay.
No, no, sorry, not BRM 12. I have um, yeah, I think no, I don't have BRM 12. I think it's 7.5 with some patch at 4 or 6. But BRM technical will be same, irrespective of which version you are referring. So 7.5 is not very like old, because it's like just below the BRM 12. So the lab which I have, it's like a 7.5, I think.
Because the reason being that we want to actually to relate as much as possible to our current BRM, right? So if let's
Yeah,
say
yeah. So
just for our
yeah,
understanding.
yeah. So it's almost same. So BRM, so in BRM 12 we have some more components which are integrated with BRM. But if you see BRM, right, it will be same in in most of the versions. So 7.5 is just below the 12. So 12 is very latest one, which is there. Most of the few of the customers are using, but still many customers are there on 7.5 also. So, but anyhow, whatever the questions you have on BRM 12 also, right? So we'll try to address that. It's not that we are not going to address and we say that no, this is only for 7.5. So it's not like that. Only thing is that I have this BRM 7.5 version of lab. Yeah,
Okay, okay, noted.
yeah,
Thank
yeah,
you.
yeah. So, uh,
Hello, sorry,
yeah,
Naveen. I have
yeah.
few questions. First, this agenda, right?
Mhm.
Do you have the detail like up to time level? How maybe the first topic are you going to cover in 1 hour, 2 hours, or something like that, so that we can plan accordingly? Because I won't be available for the whole day. right? And then I don't know what is the break time in between for lunch or maybe for a small break. I cannot see all this information in this slide lah. If possible, please share lah. Thank you, so that we can arrange accordingly. Okay.
Yeah. So I don't have currently, but after this today session, right? So I'll be able to share something. The time-wise breakup. Okay. So, but currently I have the day-wise breakup only. But yeah, I can share that
It's okay. Thank
probably
you.
today.
You
So,
can
yeah,
provide later lah
yeah,
once it's available. Second is
yeah.
this document, is this material shareable?
Yeah. I can share that.
Then
I
you
have
will be
some
good
other,
that it,
I have some other Oracle documents also. So I'll be sharing that also. So this is something like prepared some time back for some training. But apart from that, I also have some Oracle provided documentation. So that will be also very useful. So there is something like developer documents. So that also I'll be able to share. Okay.
Okay.
So yeah, so today probably will I'll share all the documents. Okay. So anytime we can refer that. So this is something like custom documents. This is prepared for training, but there is some Oracle documentation also. We'll walk through, and I'll share that documents also. Okay, as part of this training. Okay, is that okay? You guys are able to hear me?
Yeah, it's okay. It's okay.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
interesting.
yeah.
The course overview, anyhow, we have covered. So we'll go to the BRM architecture. So like that is very much needed to understand the BRM on high level. Okay. So if you see like BRM is a like package application, and it is having a 4-tier architectures, right? And each tier has its own uses. So we'll just see this. What are the 4-tier architecture? So you see here. The first tier is a like application tier, right? So application tier is like you have multiple utility which can be connected to BRM, right? So if you see about the BRM 12, we have something like customer care, or any application which is trying to connect with BRM, that can be considered as a application tier. So if you see the, we have something called customer care in BRM tool, or also customer share, customer center, and we also have something like PDC, or we have something like pricing center. So all this kind of consider as a application tier, means, or even the our CRM can be also here if it is connecting directly with BRM, right? It can be considered as you are one of the application tier, which is like attached to the BRM. Okay. So any applications with which we are trying to connect with the BRM core system, right? That is what the called the application tier. So in BRM we have some application tiers are like server based, which is like we can use directly from the server. Like there is something called test map. So test map is like for testing some of the functionality BRM, right? If you want to retrieve information of some customer in BRM from the server itself, so you can use the utility called test map. Okay. Um, uh, so that is like a server-based utility. There is something like desktop-based utility also we have, which is like customer center, pricing center, which you can install on your local PC, the desktop, and you can after providing the host name, the IP address of the server where Unix server where your BRM is installed, port number, username, password, you will be able to connect with BRM system. Okay. So, but connectivity will be the same. So this will be like your application tier, and this is like kind of the second tier is your business process tier. Okay. So we have seen like what are the different, sorry, let me just finish this application tier. So application tier we have seen, right? So there are some apps which are installed in the BRM same server where your BRM server is also running. Okay, so that is what the testnap or testnap is one of the example. Okay, then we have desktop based application. So we can also connect BRM with some desktop based application like I've told, right? Customer center and pricing center. In earlier session, which we have covered for PDC, right? So we have seen like how to see the customer information in customer center, and even how to, so one of the desktop based application is this customer center or pricing center. We also have something like developer center where you can customize BRM. We can do the developer related activity in the developer center. You also have PDC. So PDC is like that is also like a kind of application layer for BRM, can be considered as application layer, which is like thin client which runs on WebLogic or any application server. So mainly we'll use WebLogic, and there the your PDC is installed. So that also connect with BRM. But again, if here right, so here we can have the testnap. I can have my desktop level application. I can have my PDC. So all this will be like application tier, and that will any application tier will connect with the business process tier, which is also called connection manager layer, right? So this is the layer where we do most of the customization in BRM. Okay, and this some of the customers will also do customization here. So suppose you want to customize your customer care itself. So customer care is a tool which is like advanced version of customer center, which is used in BRM 12 and above, right? And there, if there is a page where you are viewing the customer information, right? And if you want to customize that page itself, you want to see more information on the table, or you want to like change the design of the page itself. So all those things are possible. But those customization will be on the application tier layer itself. Okay. But all the business level customizations are mainly done in business process tier, which is the second layer, right? And this is the layer where all your application tier connects basically. And there'll be like multiple sub processes which will be running through which the application tier connects basically. So connection manager is which is like CM. It's one of the very important process which actually interact with the any of the application tier or outer world of the BRM, right? So there are multiple integration, right? So if you see, if you want to, anyone want to integrate their CRM with BRM, right? So they can use multiple ways. So either we will deploy this BRM services as a Java wrapper in the form of adapter, and then there is a CRM system which connect those adapter basically. So that is one of the integration. Otherwise, there is another integration where we'll see all the customer will buy all the products from BRM, like they will buy either they'll buy Siebel CRM, they'll buy or they can have the Salesforce or any of the CRM they can have, and in between they can have a middleware which is like they can buy directly FMW middleware from the BRM, which is having the pre-integrated APIs, right? So with that also we can integrate with BRM, but all the integration will happen at the connection level, connection manager layer. Okay. So this is the like main customizable layer, or the layer which integrate with the outer world basically. So there, what are the things we have? We have something called connection manager, which handles the connection. Okay. So connection means like if you want to connect with BRM, right? So there will be someone who is going to provide connection for you, right? So that is what the connection manager is. Okay. And to support this connection manager, right, we have something called facility modules. So facility module is nothing but like kind of creating your own set of APIs, okay, or using the existing BRM APIs to perform your required action in BRM. So suppose if you want to onboard a customer, right? So there is a specific API or facility module which you can use from BRM to subscribe the customer into or onboard the customer into BRM, which is like there is a like one of the example of this customer onboarding API is like something called PCMOP cust commit customer. Okay, so PCMOP cust commit customer is for onboarding the customer. Okay, so similarly we have other facility models also like PCMOP purchase deal. Okay, so these are the multiple APIs. So for billing also we have some facility module. So all this facility module together work as a CM basically. So that is what. So there will be multiple SO files for all these APIs, and all will be like linked to a particular CM, and that will work as a single process. And from there you can make a connection to BRM. Okay. So apart from that, we also have external modules. So this is like mainly like Java-based processes in BRM, which is for mainly used for notification. So suppose I'm the third one, right? So I'm talking about this, the external module. So external module is mainly for notifications and all. So suppose I'm trying to onboard a customer in BRM, right? So once the onboarding is done, right? So there'll be a you'll be also getting a response. So you'll be calling a facility module, which is like PCMOP cust commit customer. And once the CRM or any top layer, right, which is above the BRM, they will call this once the that API is successful, right? I'll be sending a response back to as form of the API call, right? There'll be a request and then there'll be a response once the operation is done successfully in BRM. So that is one way of communication. And suppose apart from that, you also want to inform some other third-party system or any system about this registration process, right? That you have registered so and so customer in BRM or billing system successfully. So you can also create a message in XML and you can send that message to some system like which will send a email or SMS to the customer, right? So that notification can be used from BRM to communicate this information to other system also without making a API call to the BRM, and that will be sitting in a like Oracle advanced queue, and from there some of the processes can read that information and trigger the messages as per the business need. So that is what the your external module is. Okay. So this is what the business process tier is. So we'll see more detail about this business process tier also. But on a high level, we have connection manager is the main thing in BRM, and connection manager is like not a single process. It's a kind of set of C program, which is called the facility module, and all these facility module will have their own kind of executable, which is in the form of .so file, and those all work together to create a one connection manager. Again, connection manager can have multiple, it can span multiple childs, right? Because at a given point of time, it has to provide connection, multiple connection to the CRM system or any of the application tier system. Like I've also connected BRM through a customer center. I've connected BRM through a PDC. I've connected BRM through a like CRM. So it has to provide the multiple connection at a given point of time, right? So CM keeps on creating its child so that it can handle the multiple connections. Okay. So this is your connection manager layer. Okay. Then the third comes as a your data management tier. So data management tier is like if you guys have worked on Java, right? So there is something called persistent layer, right? So persistent layer means this is like the fourth. We'll just go. So third one is a data management tier, and fourth one is a database tier, right? So in database tier, um, um, all the information is present in the form of database record, right? So it will be like some relational database where you have relation of the customer in different tables, right? But in the data management tier, right? So here, like, um, we'll be having information in the form of objects, basically. So suppose you are kind of creating a customer, right? You are onboarding a customer, and you have called a API, which is like I told, right? We can call something like PCMOP commit customer, and with that API, I can onboard the customer in BRM. So once this API call has been done here, commit customer, it will come to the data manager layer, right? So what data manager? So as per this API, right? I have given some set of information, right? Customer first name, last name, phone number, and all those things. I have also given the customer billing information, which customer I selected. I have also given the customer mailing address and email address. I have also provided the customer profile, right? So which type of customer, what is the credit rating of the customer. So all this information I have provided, customer payment method. So all this information I have provided, and I have called PCMOP customer in the business layer there. So what will happen? But this the data of customer, right? From one API call, it has to be transferred to multiple tables in the this relational database, right? So what this connection manager does, this data manager layer does, right? It will kind of create it will break the data into multiple parts, and again it calls the different, like basically it will try to insert data into the multiple tables of BRM, right? So suppose in BRM we have there is something called account T, we have something like bill info T, we have pay info T. So these are like multiple tables in which data will be persisted for a single customer. Okay, so that is where, but here the data is in the form of object, right? So from that object, again it will be based on like different, like whatever the translation we have defined in the data manager layer, right? Based on that translation, the data will be persisted into multiple database tables. Okay, so it's basically the data management layer will do the translation, right? From your this is the data which is present in the program, like this one, right? Your so BRM has its own like what you'll say, that data types, which is mainly like field and pair, right? Which is also called FLIS. So from FLIS, it will convert the data into BRM like database language, which will be mainly like kind of insert into the database, right? So if you want to create the customer, so data manager layer, what it will do, it will try to, it will convert all this one request, right, into multiple objects, right? So account is a object, pay info is a object, and bill info is object. So all these objects will be persisted into BRM database as in form of the insert statement, right? So that is how, like here we are kind of, we got a user interface, or you can also do from some utility like test map, and there you can pass the information into the FLIST format only. FLIST format is a like BRM kind of data type, which BRM understand basically. So in that format also we can pass the information from application tier. Once this information, it will make a connection to the connection manager, and it will expose all the APIs which are present in BRM. So one of the API is your PCMOP commit customer. So based on that API, right, it will once it will, the data will come to this layer, right? So there'll be one more like data manager layer API. So this layer also has its own APIs. So that API will be called. That API, what it will do, it will convert one data into multiple objects like account object, your pay info object, bill info object, and these objects will be again internally it will call the insert statement to the this BRM database. So that is not something like visible, but this is how the BRM works basically. So this is like a 4-tier architecture. And again, I can have multiple database, right? So BRM database, if you want to send the same information to the credit card processing. So this data manager will be different because based on the database, right? And table structure, the data manager varies basically, or it differs. So this is about like high level like BRM 4-tier architectures. If anyone has any questions, feel free to like ask. So this is like one of the important topics to understand from BRM specific. Yeah. Any questions? Hello, you guys are able to hear me? Hello.
Yes, able to hear.
Yeah, sure. Thank you. So if anyone has any questions regarding this 4-tier architecture of BRM, feel free to ask and I can clarify. Otherwise, we'll go to the next topic. We'll also see these things, right? When we'll we're logging into the BRM server, right? So we'll also see different application layers, whatever the different application tiers we have. And we'll also see the connection manager process, how to see the log of the connection manager and how things are actually done in the BRM. So we'll see all those things. But theoretically, if anyone has any question regarding this 4-tier architecture of BRM, so feel free to ask that question. Okay. If no question, then I'll go to the next session. Okay. So in like BRM 12 or BRM 7.5, this architecture remains same. There is no change in this architecture. Okay. So it will be like same architecture we have in different for mainly for BRM, right? So here we'll see more detail about this BRM like 4-tier architectures, right? So more components we'll try to look. So here we have application tier, and so if you see, right, so this box is your BRM application are the client tools, right? So and then we have this your business process tier or connection manager tier, right? So where we'll do all the most of the business specific processing or configuration. Okay. So this is the main your customizable layer. Okay. And then we have your data tier are also called data translation tier. Okay. So here we have your data manager, which of course connects with the BRM, this one, your connection manager or the business process tier. Okay. And based on the request, right, it will again has its own APIs. So that APIs will be called, like if you want to insert something, like if you want to create some object, you want to update some object. So based on that, different APIs will be called from the data manager layer. And again, data manager layer calls the BRM database. So it can be Oracle database or other database also, but it supports mainly the relational database. Okay. So that data will be persisted into BRM database. Okay. And again, we also have the option to retrieve the data through API, right? So if you want to search some customer data, so you can search from the BRM application and you can fetch the BRM, like in the last session, right, where we are discussing about PDC. So we have seen that how we have search a customer information in customer center, and we are able to fetch all the information into the customer center of that customer. So again, the data comes from database. It comes to the data manager layer. Data manager translate into kind of F list, and it will send to the connection manager. From connection manager, it comes to the BRM application layer. Okay, so so BRM supports the this one, right? So BRM also has a like a very closely coupled system, not closely but loosely coupled system, which is called pipeline manager. So currently, whatever the things are earlier done in the pipeline manager, right? So those things are some of the customers are using ECE, the elastic charging engine, right, to do the same thing. So for rating the batch event are also like for this one, right? For rating the real time. So the ECE is getting used in the place of pipeline manager, but still some of the customers are also using the pipeline manager. So if you see here the how it goes. So real time event, right? So real time event comes here, BRM application layer, goes to CM, data manager and database. Batch event, how it goes, batch event will directly go to the, there is one more parallel like loosely coupled system which is called pipeline manager. Okay, and again pipeline manager also uses the same database. You can see here the connection is, the database is same, so it uses the, and that is mainly used for batch rating. Okay, means if you want to if you are getting some 1000 of record or 5000 record in a CDR file from the network element, right? And you want to rate that CDR in BRM, right? So the pipeline manager is one of the utility which you can use, or you can use the ECE for doing the same thing. And again, ECE also uses, like pipeline ECE also uses this rated event loader. Okay, so there also loaders are getting used to convert data, because sending data to the database format, right? So any we need some converter which will convert the data into like BRM objects, right? So I told that BRM the data manager layer will be having its own object definition, right? We have something like account object, we have service object, we have pay info. So all these are the different objects we have defined into the BRM, and those objects are like kind of converted into your database, this one, right, tables. So we'll go to the same. We are just kind of trying to understand this architecture itself, and so two rating methods available, right? So we have discussed this, the real time rating, right? So this is the first one, is the real time rating one, and second one is like high performance batch. So batch is like something like a pipeline thing we have used, right? Or instead of pipeline, we can use the ECE. Okay, so ECE is also for batch rating. So, and we'll see, right? So real-time rating rates the recurring charges, so one-time charges, and uses event for many BRM services. Real-time discounting pipeline applies the discount. So, so in the real time, what are the things we'll rate? We'll rate the, like if there are any MRC charges, right? Which is like monthly recurring charges, or we'll also say the monthly subscription fee, right? So those things will be done in a real time rating, okay? Or one time fee. So suppose you are buying some hardware, or you are buying also like kind of your package is such a way that you are also getting a mobile phone, right? Or a device, right, from the service provider. So that device fee you want to pay as a one-time fee, right? So suppose it is for $300 or 300 ringgits, right? So you have to pay as one-time fee. So one-time fee charging can be also done using real-time rating. Okay. Again, real time, suppose you want to apply some discount also. So there is a discounting pipeline which can use along with the rating real time rating system, right? to provide the discount on that particular MRC or non-recurring charges or one-time charges. Okay. So and high performance batches are like I told, right? So if you want to rate some CDRs, right? The call detail records, which are generally generated by your network element, and so that also you can charge with a batch rating basically, or pipeline rating, or ECE basically. So pipeline manager rates users event for voice or wireless data services such as GPRS. Okay. So the services can be multiple, right? So nowadays we also have the IoT services. So we can define multiple services in BRM, right? Based on the requirement. So, and then how it does, so it's obtain the customer account information from BRM database and keeps in memory for high speed processing. Even EC also does the same thing, right? So it retrieve the information from the BRM database, and then it keeps into its in memory database, right? Or like cache memory, where because we are looking for very high processing system, right? Which can process the data at very high rates, because CDR files will be like a bulky file, and you have to rate all the records in that file with limited time, right? That is the reason what it does, this kind of EC or even the pipeline, it's get all the customer information from the BRM database. So here we have seen, right? So this is like BRM database. So once you start this system, right, pipeline manager IC, what it does is it reads all this customer information which is available in database and which is needed for rating. So what are the information needed for rating? The information we need for rating is customer the price plan, right? So whatever the prices we have defined, the rate plans, that information, it needs the customer information also, right? So, and if customer has some specific this one, right, attributes, so it will load all this customer attributes and rating information to rate that. And once this system is started, or EC is started, right, it will have the information which is there in the database, customer information, and even the pricing information, and it will load into the cache memory pipeline or EC. Okay. So once the batch will come, right? So the batch will come here. There'll be some controller job which will keep on running and checking that directory, right? For if there are any files. If any files are available, what it does is pick that file, the pipeline manager, and it will try to process the CDR details. Okay. So why we are loading all the information at one go is to increase the performance and decrease the number of connections which is done to the BRM database. So all the information, and if there are any customers which are created in future, right? So once the system is started, and suppose after starting you have created any customer, right? So that information will also get propagated to this pipeline manager or EC through some Oracle Advanced Queue. Okay. For EC, we have different utilities which will like sync the incremental data of the customer from BRM database to the rating engine. So rating engine can be your EC or pipeline manager. So it has the one-time data will get loaded, and again any incremental data. So if there is change in the price plan, or if there is change in the customer status, right? So all this information will get propagated to this pipeline manager. Okay. So this is what we are seeing here. And this pipeline manager also supports the this one, right? Your roaming CDRs, right? So roaming CDRs will be having their own format, right? Which is called tab3 format or cyber format. So based on that format also, it's rate the information. Okay. So So there are like different terminology which are getting used. So just to get familiar with the terminology, right? So there's something called technical name is your client tier, which is also called application tier. Then we have something like connection manager. So these are the words which are like interchangeably used for the same thing. Like connection manager is also called as a business business process tier. Then data manager. So this is like application tier, business management tier. Then we have object tier. Then we have data tier, which is your database. Okay. And what is the role of this? Role is like your application tier is something like your CRM, right? So that is mainly for collecting the customer data collection, right? Business process tier is for data validation. Okay. So once you collected the data from CRM and you have called the BRM API, right, to onboard that customer into BRM. So what will happen? First, it will try to validate the data, and then it will call the subsequent function to create that customer into the BRM system, right, through object layer. And this is called the third layer is called the data translation, right? I told that BRM understands the field value data type, right? So there will be a field and there is a value, right? So from that field value, it has to convert it into database, this one, right? Understandable data, right? So that is what the your data object here does. It translates that field value into objects basically. Okay. So and data tier is also called like data storage or retrieval, right? So once data is stored, right, we can also have the option to retrieve the data. So that is what the data tier is, right? So we have 4 tiers. So what is the technical name? What is the role of our what is the role of that particular layer? So that is what we have seen in this slide. Okay. Then we'll also see some more detail about what are the comes into like with some examples. So your application tier is like BRM application. Okay. So it can be like anything like Windows or Unix application, executable or daemon. So anything can be your application tier. So I told, right? So your test map is also application tier, your customer center, customer care, or anything can be your application tier, which is like kind of able to fetch the information from BRM, are able to communicate with BRM basically with connection manager. That is the application tier. So business tier, again, it has APIs which are exposed from CM, right? And then we have Java servers. We have real-time pipeline. RT is real-time pipeline. Okay. So Java servers is nothing but we discussed right earlier that we have EM, right? External modules, which is used for notification. So this is what your Java server is. Okay. And this is mainly used for data validation. This is for data collection. And what are the things we have? Connection manager. We have EIJS. EIJS is a Java-based application, the Java server, right? And then we have real-time pipeline. Okay. Then we have what are the things we have in object layer. So we have your data manager. Then again, it has API, and then it has the translation layer, translation management, where it transforms the object into database insert, update, or whatever the search queries, right? So this is what the TM does basically. And again, you can have multiple database for doing the different things, right? So you can store the customer information. You can also have some, there is a requirement to fetch some tax information, right? So the different database you can use. Again, based on the different database, your object tier will vary, because object tier is mainly depends upon which kind of data you are trying to access. Okay. Then we have more example about what are the application tiers we have, right? So any Windows or Unix application that connects to BRM business tier is like an application tier, right? So GUI tools such as customer center or pricing center or customer care, all are like application tier. Customer center and pricing center, which are used to register and manage the customer and their accounts, right? So application that capture event data from customer users subsystem, right? So even your, if you see the real time, right? So your radius manager or diameter manager, right? So these are the two protocols which are used in BRM for connecting with the network elements, right? So even that is also one example of your application tier, right? So anything which connects with BRM is like kind of application layer, right? So application collects data and triggers BRM business processes. So we are discussing, right? So what are the business processes we have? Our API. So registration is one of the this one, right? Business process. Then we have customer information. Then so these are the informations like activities which can be done. There are multiple, but these are few listed. So you can also use for logging activity or purchasing something or for fetching the billing data. Okay. So it can use the application tier from different languages, right? So Java, Perl, or C++. So anything can be used. Okay. So so business process is like this is one of the like most important thing tier basically where mainly developers will work. So it's implement the BRM system functionality. Okay. So what are the things is that it's validate the data from the application tier. So whatever data comes from application tier, right? It's validate that. Okay. And then what it does after validation, what modify the BRM behavior through business policies. Business policies can be customized. So we have multiple business policies where we can modify the behavior of the base system. Okay. And these business processes again in turn can be customized. Okay. Trigger external system using event notification. It's also so once we receive the data from the application tier, that data has to be validated and we can again customize the behavior itself by writing some customization. Okay. Once that and then we can also based on that request, right? We can also trigger some notification to the external system. Okay. So it includes connection manager that manages connection from application tier. Okay, so that's what we have seen, right? And create the child and all. Then it includes the facility module, shared library that includes system FM for data processing, policy FM for data manipulation and validation. Okay. So facility modules are also of two type. Okay. One is like standard facility model, and then we have policy facility model. So standard facility model, the one which I was telling, right? PCMOP customer. Let me just write it here. So I was telling this facility model. So here I have something like one of the example is PCMOP. So if you see here, even most of the information are available on Google also. So if you just see here, I'll just what I'll do. Just search this. Okay. PCMOP customer in Oracle BRM. Okay. So you can see the documentation, right? So if we go here. So you can see what it does, right? So if you go here again, I can show this. So basically, you can see more information about that APIs, right? So you can Google it out. We can see what are the information it has, how to call that API. So all the information will be there. Anyhow, I'll be sharing that documentation also, where you will find all this information, how these APIs are called, and like for calling any API, right? So we should have, we should know like what are the input it expect, right? And what are the mandatory information in it, right? So if you see any documentation of any package application, will be having API. The API will be having its standard request, right? So this is the request, and this is the request it accept, and what are the mandatory fields. So that information, anyhow, I'll be sharing a documents where you can see. Okay. But any information now, the Oracle, all the documentation is available online also. It's only thing that searching it and then finding the exact documentation. Okay. So yeah, so what we are seeing, so this is the one of the facility model. So this is called the standard facility model, right? Standard facility model. Modify this behavior. This basically this facility model cannot be modified. Okay. Something like policy of codes, right? So policy, this behavior can be modified. So these are kind of policy opcodes are mainly for customizable hook, right? So what will happen? So this will also have, this opcode also will have its own input having defined output. Okay. So what input I can give? So in between, if you want to modify anything, right? So suppose I got input, right? I got something like no, PNFLD. This is like BRM data type, right? So PNFLD. Name. Okay. And I got something like PNFLD. Home address. I'm just giving an example. We have something like how this home address, right? So based on so once I got this information in this my policy hook, right? So what I can do based on the customer profile, right? So I'll be also having some field like customer profile. So based on profile, right? So if profile is like business user, business, something like customer type, right? Customer, I can also do customer type. Customer type. So I'm just trying to understand. So this can have the like business or can be like individual customer. Okay. So based on different thing, right? So what will happen? This information comes here, right? What I can do in the policy hook based on the customer type, right? I can either choose the home address or I can choose the office address. So just what I'm trying to say that same data based on my business requirement, right, I'll be able to modify in the policy opcode. So that option is only available in the policy opcode. That is not available in this opcode, the standard opcode. So in BRM, we have something like policy opcode and standard opcode. Okay. So this is what I was trying to say. Not everything we can customize, like any package application, right? Not everything we can customize. You can customize some of the behavior, right? So, those are because it will not give you rights to modify the complete system itself, right? So something is like kind of hidden, and some like customization hook or the policy hook they have given, where you'll be able to change the behavior of the system with up to some extent, right? Not all. So